Hello there, and welcome to the Banter Podcast, episode 21. We can legally drink in the States.
Hey, congratulations. I'd say cheers to that.
Cheers to that. And to celebrate such an occasion, I am by pure coincidence drinking American Pale Ale. It tastes good. We're in the shed again, but hopefully this time the acoustics will be a little bit more forgiving because we've got the addition of some floor tiles, a couple of rugs, and an extra body to absorb the sound.
Ooh la la.
Hello, Lorna.
Hey.
Back for more so soon.
It's only been, like 9 months-ish, but yes, I'm back. Has it been 9?
It was since the first episode in January when we were competing for the piece of shit trophy.
Yes.
I wanted that trophy so much.
I'm so annoyed that Scott can't turn up for the next one, so I'm going to have to fucking host it again. Okay, anyway, a bit of continuity this week, because last time we said that the next time we do a podcast would be when the Forbes 2020 list for the most well-paid female actors are in the industry, and Claire, I believe you've got the list.
I have got the list. Additionally, I am drinking Dead Pony Club Brewdog, so, you know, a step up from the deluxe Sainsbury's own lager. I really am living the high life right now. But yes, you're right, Forbes have released that. We would have done this sooner, this whole podcast, but they didn't release it until not that long ago. It was meant to be the following month and it just didn't happen.
We did check it weekly, like, genuinely.
We were excited about this one. One of the stipulations from last time was that we had to try and guess how many actresses were on the list. And I'd say we should take a good old swig for everyone we get right. To be honest, I've had a little look and we're going to be pretty sober.
That surprises me because we did name a few
We
heavy
named a
hitters.
few. One, which was a particular surprise, was Scarlett Johansson, who was number 1 last year. Didn't even make the list this year. Didn't even make top 10. Black Widow will probably help her out next year. 2 right off of the whole list.
Should we take our swigs now?
Yeah, I was
Wait, okay, I've got a good idea. How about we take the amount of swigs relating to the placement in the list?
Yes,
Since
because
we only got 2
Perfect.
correct.
that will help. Okay, number 1 is Sofia Vergara.
Yes, Modern Family.
That's the one, yes. She's also a judge on America's Got Talent.
Okay.
43 million. She topped out our list. I hadn't actually heard of her until this
I
list.
haven't, to be honest.
No. There's a few of those, in fairness. Number 2, Hollywood veteran Angelina Jolie.
Amen.
35.5, absolutely. Gal Gadot, 31.5. Wonder Woman, so we got that one, fucking A. 3 big swigs, please.
You're looking at us in disgust, Lorna. You know the crack. You're a veteran now.
I did like 3 little sips and thought, oh no, we are doing tropical.
There's no half measures on this podcast. There were rumours of a streaming release that they were going to release Wonder Woman 1984. That was debunked a couple of days ago by the director, thank fuck.
Oh.
No one wants a second Mulan. No one needs that in their lives.
No, not.
Number 4, Melissa McCarthy, a comedic actress. We know her from
Yes.
Bridesmaids, I think she was in.
And she was in Spy as well with Jason Statham too.
Yes, she's playing Ursula in the live-action Little Mermaid.
That would be cool.
I think she's going to make a good Ursula. Number 5.
Ooh, 5 big swigs.
5 big swigs for Meryl Streep, screen
Yeah.
legend that she is. Somewhere in the world she's also taking 5 big swigs. I think I need to pause this to get another beverage.
Yeah.
Same.
I just dashed mine off and assumed it would be 5 swigs.
Newcomer to the list, number 6, Emily Blunt. She negotiated upfront 8-figure salary for the sequel of A Quiet Place, which the original grossed 141 million, so I can understand why, but I thought that was a bold move. Number 7, Nicole Kidman, 22 mil, pretty standard, not
Yeah, I'm
surprised at
surprised
that.
we didn't choose her actually.
But number 8, I was surprised but pleased for her. Ellen Pompeo, the Grey's Anatomy,
Yes,
plays Meredith
I was
Grey.
gonna say her.
She earns £550,000 per episode.
I didn't realise it was still going. Grey's Anatomy.
Oh yeah, since Derek died it's gone a bit shit, to be honest. Number 9, Elizabeth Moss, Handmaid's Tale.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you'll have seen her, 16 mil. And number 10, the only black woman to feature on this list, Viola Davis, at 15.5. She was How to Get Away with Murder.
I haven't seen that.
She was
Yeah.
also in Suicide Squad, if anyone gives a fuck.
Right,
there
I
you go.
think that's where she would make the big dollar.
No, Suicide Squad was a long time ago. Well, a
It
few
was,
years
yeah,
ago.
this is just films from last year.
Oh,
Not
I
the
see,
whole
I see.
repertoire. Which is why Scarlett Johansson didn't do very well, because she hasn't been very active last year. But delays, etc.
I'm already very intrigued about what the 2020 list is going to look like.
Same. 'Cause
Yeah.
It'd be good to compare the numbers.
I'm going to predict that Jim Carrey's going to be up there because Sonic was
Sonic.
released in February and not long after after that, all the cinemas were closed for most of the year.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I went and saw it actually in the cinema with my brother.
Any
And when
good?
it came out, it wasn't too bad.
I reviewed it. You should totally watch the review after this.
Yeah, for sure.
Double that view count.
Speaking of double, the actors were paid pretty much almost double. The women's total 254 million combined, and for the lads it was 545.5, which I thought was very interesting.
I wonder if any of them are like crossover in the same films.
They probably do.
Not that much drinking though. As I said earlier, we named some heavy hitters on the last podcast who we predicted would be in this list, and I'm
Sandra
surprised.
Bullock was one of them.
Yeah, and I'm surprised only 2 of them showed
Actually
up.
made it.
Okay, considering it is October, I thought I'd do something that's sort of seasonally relevant and talk about something that I kind of binge watched yesterday. It's called The Haunting of Bly Manor. You've probably seen it pop up on your Netflix.
Yes, the little clip things.
Yeah. I've always thought that supernatural horror is a dying genre. I've mentioned it many times on this podcast and in some of the reviews that I've done, but this was there.
There's
It
not
was
much that hasn't been
raining,
done. Yeah.
etc.
What did you think of American Horror Story? Because that's
Haven't
a
seen
little bit like... I'd recommend you dipping, because I think that is the only... You know where you said it's a dying breed a little bit? I think they dabbled.
They did well, in fairness. I've seen a couple of the seasons. I've seen the circus one and the haunted house one, the asylum. I've seen the asylum and I've seen the hotel. Purely because of Gaga. That's what drew me to it.
She's very good in it, Pam.
And of the ones I've seen, yeah, pretty decent. But I am told that the ones I've seen are the best ones. I don't know how that compares. But yeah, American Horror Story, not bad.
So, The Haunting of Bly Manor, okay? It was released on October the 9th, so extremely recently, on Netflix, as just mentioned. It is the second entry of the Haunting anthology series, The Haunting of Hill House being the first. You've also probably seen that pop up on your Netflix recommended. Many of the cast return from that series to star in this one. It's 9 episodes that all flirt with either side of the hour mark in terms of duration. I can't compare it to The Haunting of House Hill simply because I hadn't seen it. Thankfully, the only connection between the two is the aforementioned cast. It's a completely separate narrative with completely separate characters. The person who I watched it with tells me that the Hill House and Bly Manor are practically identical buildings, which to me would ruin immersion and accuse creator Mike Flanagan of lazy set design. For me, the lack of originality doesn't end there. The characters are slightly altered versions of ones you've seen from other pieces of supernatural horror, with Benjamin Evan Ainsworth's Miles Wingrave looking and behaving like he was dragged out of an Omen parody. It's not that scary at all. Like, as per the norm with this done-to-death genre, the very sparse jump scares didn't land purely because you've experienced the attempts 1,000-fold. The pacing is slow as fuck. Each episode serves as an origin story of each character, which, with a narrative that doesn't contain much substance, seems like a very bloated approach.
I feel like a bloated approach right now.
Yeah, it's a very bloated approach to your climax that I feel isn't going to be worth it, considering that the 7 episodes I've seen so far could easily be kind of like edited into 4. The completionist within me will finish this, but I don't recommend it because it's copy and paste.
Oh my god! Did you actually end up watching David Blaine's Ascension?
It's 3 hours long, wasn't it?
Yes, I watched the whole fucking thing.
I have to admit, I played it, and then I was about 45 minutes in, and I was like, he hasn't taken off yet. And then I was like, fuck this. So I skipped it in another hour, and he'd just started or something like that. 3 hours long, and then he was up in the air, and it was just hit like a GoPro attached to him and whatnot, and then he was just out, and I was like, this is boring as fuck. Beautiful scenery, but not a spectacle. It looked like a glorified hot air balloon to me.
Yeah, the balloons were comically large as well. The whole thing to me just seemed a bit shit. I know that there is a lot to it. There's, altitude, temperature,
He's
wind.
10 years too late, isn't he, basically, with his idea?
A little bit. And it took him about 10 years to... Because he had to get a hot air balloon pilot's license, a regular pilot's license.
Oh, wow.
And all this shit. So if you do end up watching the entirety of the 3 fucking hours like I did, I can see why he, in his mind, probably thought that it was quite a spectacular spectacle.
Because for him it was quite profound, like the journey that it had gone through.
Yes.
When you're watching it was a bit like, yeah, that's like quite a cool YouTube clip. But I didn't go for the whole thing.
I even watched the almost like the highlight reel as well of it, and that was boring as fuck too, and it was only 6 minutes. Either way, he went up 25,000 feet, which is about 4.7 miles.
Is that where planes?
Yes, jet plane airspace. I think is about 18,000.
That's good.
Yeah. Apparently 700,000 people watch this live. I think mostly to see if he would fall to his death.
Only 7,000?
700,000. So not even a million.
From the whole world?
Yeah. Which is a bit... But you can watch it on VR, which I think would be worth it.
Yes.
Because the views were, like you said, incredible. But yeah, overall, bit of a letdown.
It's
Not
still
that many
impressive though. I like when humans try and push things in a nice way. That's as best I can do with why you should...
But he dedicated 10 years of his life for his 700,000 live views.
Well, it's for the experience, not for the views.
And 307,000 people.
To be fair though, I've been reviewing films for 8 years and don't even have 5% of that review's grand total on my fucking channel.
But we've
Anyway, can we please move on?
Very small Scream news. Last podcast, we weren't sure if Nev Campbell was going to officially come back as Sydney, and she has now confirmed that she will be.
That's great news.
It is great news. She put on her Twitter, "I am beyond excited to step back into the role of Sydney Prescott and return to Woodsboro."
Why not?
Yeah, fuck it,
what
why
else is she doing, and whether she likes it or not, it's definitely going to be the role she's remembered for.
For sure, yeah. I mean, I remember her in Wild Things, purely because of wanking purposes,
Fair
to be
enough.
honest. You ever seen Wild Things?
No, I have heard very good things though.
We'll have to watch it.
Speaking of wanking purposes... you
No,
know-
I haven't had the Chris Jericho wank yet. I've tried to force Fuzzy onto Sexy Time, and that hasn't landed either. So I'm going to do my best. It is a working project. Leave it with me.
How long has it been?
So
When
long.
did you set this...
It's at least a year, or approaching a year, because roughly this time last year he was doing a segment where he was doing a contract signing with Cody Rhodes for the AW title, turned up with this tight as fuck pumpkin jacket.
The jacket was incredible.
And out of the two of you, he was like, right, this is the...
But we immediately jumped on the internet and ordered ourselves a couple of extremely tight Christmas jackets.
He celebrated his 30 years of service,
That's
didn't he?
what we're watching tonight!
Hey! Maybe on the anniversary of us setting the wank goal is the day.
The stars would have to align
They
for
really
that
would.
to be success.
I took an inhumane amount of edibles and still only managed to consider the wank.
If your
followed
subconscious is
through.
saying no, then I don't know whether you
Because
just...
edibles are the gateway to your
Online.
own rational mind. They reveal your true hopes and desires.
My mind's
still-
telling me no. About it. It's also telling me no. Speaking of getting super high, in January 2022, what a segue that was, by the
Brutal.
way, thank you. Andy Samberg and Craig Robinson of Brooklyn Nine-Nine alumni have teamed up to create a weed superhero movie called Super High, to be released in January 22. They've described it as unconventional, and there are no other details whatsoever, other than that New Line have bought the script for a 7-figure sum. So I'm excited for
7?
that. Yeah, 7 figures.
Whoa!
Yeah, essentially, Ganj gives you powers. That's all we know. Watch this space.
I mean, it's not wrong.
But is Seth Rogen like somehow involved in this or not? Because guarantee he's going to be jumping on this.
Probably. There's literally no other details other than that. But I'm excited about that for, research purposes.
To see how relatable it is.
I mean, I wouldn't know. I'm teetotal.
Yes, of course. Right, okay, cinema news. Continuing from the whole October the 9th thing, that's when the Haunting of Bly Manor was released, in case we all forgotten. Cineworld emailed me on the 6th saying that they will be closing all 127 cinemas across the UK and Ireland until further notice.
Oh.
That is not surprising considering how many films have had to delay, how many... Like, Mulan fucked cinemas really badly.
Good, yeah.
Amongst all of its many, many errors. They really...
Fucked.
They really fucked with the cinemas because everyone is struggling. And Mulan was meant to be one of the big releases, wasn't it, to draw the people in the same way the Bond film was, and that's been pushed back.
So much shit has been pushed back several times. But bizarrely enough, the Monster Hunter World movie has been pushed forward to December, starring Milla Jovovich, based on a video game.
They've got that big ball energy. Early release.
It'll get moved.
Yeah, probably. Push back to 22.
Cineworld were open for 2 months and not one COVID case resulting from visiting their centres was reported, which is awesome.
Nice.
The View has shut a quarter of its cinemas midweek. That's 21 out of 87 sites shut on Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. Odeon have weekend-only screenings at a quarter of their 120 venues. Bosses of major cinema chains chatted to ministers about a potential rescue package for the industry. The UK box office has been reduced from 1.25 billion to 400 million. That is a shocking difference.
That's a big drop.
Independent cinemas can apply for grants by ways of the Culture Recovery Fund, which large chains are not eligible for.
But once they do get, like, if they've shown that blueprint works, then they could, like, multiply it out. Like, I think Dana White from UFC, he was telling me that he made a blueprint of how he kept his business going.
Yes.
So it's like a bit of a beacon of hope, maybe.
Yeah, he had his 30-page
document
Yeah.
that the NFL were kind of like asking to borrow and stuff, and he was willingly handing it out, going, yeah, of course, because he's a dude, man.
Yeah, so there is options out there, hopefully. Thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and prayers. Speaking of something that is doomed for failure, Blink-182's Tom DeLonge is directing a sci-fi film called Monsters of California.
That's cool.
Yes.
That's cool.
It's him debuting as a director. He's writing and producing the film's score, so it's going to have plenty of his music attached to it as well. It follows a group of young friends who investigate a series of occurrences in their Southern California suburb. Apparently, he's been on a bit of a crusade to prove that aliens exist.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know a huge amount about this, but apparently he's really spearheading, almost kind of like X-Files style, I guess. But it's interesting. We'll see how that goes. I don't know any of the details about it, but
he was on
you never know.
Joe Rogan podcast. This is the only insight I've got, and
Oh,
he
go on.
went in hard. I think he was been chatting to a couple military people in America, and they've been inviting him to hangars and that. And he's was asking his bandmates if he's always been really focused on it, and he was like, yeah, like when they're on the tour bus, he only used to read like loads of alien books, just loads and loads of them. So he's like been pretty hardcore in it for quite a while, I think. Yeah, that's it. I think he was talking about they found just before the new Element came out, which has been really recent. He knew about it before because they found it from an alien spacecraft or something. You can tell that I'll be one of the patrons to go and see this film.
I mean, I'm going to watch it purely because I like Blink-182 as a band. I think a lot of Blink fans are going to be drawn to this film purely because it's content from a cherished band.
Yeah, you gotta get your fans involved.
Absolutely. I'm going to give this a go, just purely out of curiosity.
Yeah, and he's quite a creative guy, so I'd imagine he's got the eye for a good film.
Let's hope.
Yeah,
We'll find out.
Fun.
Did you see the Jurassic World 3 news?
I have not seen the news.
Oh, well, let me tell you. Jurassic World 3 is the last one of the Jurassic World kind of series, isn't it? It's also been delayed until June the 10th, 2022.
It's going to be a fucking busy year for me.
Yeah, legit. My exciting news is that Laura Dern, Jeff Goldblum and Sam Neill are going to be returning alongside current stars Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas, which is exciting. Here for that. Did you see the image of Carnage?
I haven't seen the image of Carnage, no, but I've heard this.
Carnage, played by Woody Harrelson. Do you prefer Venom or Carnage?
Venom.
Venom.
To be brutally honest, Woody Harrelson's Carnage is the only exposure to the character I've ever had.
Same.
Fair play. A lot of people prefer Carnage just because of his look. He has like some dripping thing going on, and he's like red and black and whatever. I personally prefer Venom just because I like it.
I'll have to have a proper look at Carnage.
Yeah, do. I mean, have a look at Woody Harrelson's version. Give Carnage the Oculus pat down. Go check that out. There's a 2021 release date for the
Brave.
Yeah, that'll get pushed back. It's fine.
2022.
Yeah, don't hold your breath on that one. I have Walking Dead news. Well, I said that I was going to talk about the finale when it happened, and it has happened. It happened on October 4th. They wrapped up season 10 with a very long overdue episode. It was literally meant to be the end of season episode, and because of Corona it got delayed for fucking ages, so it then became like its own kind of standalone. Anyway, there's another season after this, so we have one more to go, which will split across 2 years. There's 24 episodes. and it wraps up in 2022. So, another 22. Everything seems to be happening then. Personally, I think they're kind of dragging it out a little bit now. Norman Reedus. That's him. I was watching an episode of Talking Dead, which is like the after show thing, and I got the vibe from him that he thought that it was also getting a bit much.
He's checking out.
Yeah, because there's already so many spin-offs. Carol and Daryl fans will be pleased because Melissa McBride and Norman Reedus are getting their own spin-off. There's also a series of TV movies based around Andrew Lincoln's Rick Grimes character. And The Walking Dead: The World Beyond, which is exclusively on Prime Video, kicks off after the season 10 finale. There's already 2 episodes of that. It tells kind of like a specific and distinct story. It's like set 10 years after the apocalypse, and it's like a coming of age for the youth who grew up in the decade following the outbreak. Basically a bunch of teens that go on a quest to find some bloke. There's also Civil Republic military connections, who are the people that took Rick Grimes in the original one. Essentially, it's like Walking Dead light for teenagers, in my opinion.
Oh, this is how Twilight got popular, isn't it? In that demographic of people.
Yes, it's very that demographic of people. People who are susceptible to Twilight will also be susceptible to this.
Mm-hmm.
They are draining that udder.
Yeah.
Just let it die, man.
Exactly that. I mean, it's already been going on for 10 years. You've done well, you've made your money, move on and try something else. This is how much you're going to drain that cash cow. There's also going to be an episodic anthology series called Tales from the Walking Dead that can explore new and existing characters, including those who have died. So, I mean, comic book fans will be happy about that, but just too much, in my opinion. Stop now, Walking Dead, you're going to wreck it.
Okay, completely unrelated, it's finally time for...
Sorry, I was mid-swig.
Dickhead of the Week! Dickhead of the Week this time comes in the form of the South Park Facebook page admin.
Why? That's very specific.
Very specific, yes. Purely because the South Park Pandemic Special, which was an hour-long episode, the first ever episode of this duration, was basically like the premiere episode, the pilot episode of season 24. It was to be released on Comedy Central on the 30th of September, and I was extremely excited because I have Comedy Central. It was scheduled to be released at like bumfuck o'clock, you know, so I'm going to record that
American
shit.
time,
yeah. So I go downstairs, go onto Comedy Central, looking for it, and it's not there at all. I'm like, okay. I was like, this doesn't come as a surprise to me, considering that the UK was one of the last countries to receive Darkest Hour, which was a film about Churchill. So
you know, we are last to get the Bond film as well. It's like both of these are British born and bred, and we are the last country to get them.
It's not uncommon, bizarrely, but fuck knows why. So there was no way we were going to get South Park at the same time as America. The same goes with the whole of Europe as well. It's not just the UK. So I'm like, fuck. So couldn't find it, as I said. And I follow South Park on Facebook. And after all this, people were giving really good feedback about how amazing the episode was, that how we need this at a time such as this. And I've been saying for ages, before this episode was even announced on this very podcast, that South Park have got fucking so much material now. I can't wait for that shit. So yeah, like, this is annoying. There's been like several screenshots as well, and there's t-shirts and memes going about all this page. And then, after all this, it's like, watch the South Park Facebook page admin are posting, watch the episode for free here. You click on it, the page isn't available because we're in the UK. And then I look at the comments sections, it's riddled with questions such as, where can I watch this in the UK? Where can I watch this in Germany? Where can I watch this in Italy? Where can I watch it in every other place in the world? And nothing has been written down as a reply. And you click on that, you have to get like a VPN, but that's complicated.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, you don't...
And later they'll write, watch South Park here on this platform now, it's been moved. Click on it, it's not available in the UK. This has happened so many times, and again in every single post people are asking the question, where can I watch this in the UK? Where can I watch this in Spain, Portugal, etc.
Insert any country other than America.
It's constant. At least 7 out of 10 posts or comments in that are, where can I watch it in this country? And they're not saying anything.
I can imagine this is exactly what Britney's comments looked like, instead of that it would be hashtag free Britney.
And of course I keep hopelessly clicking on every link just to be constantly reminded, and it is breaking me slowly. And I think that the South Park Facebook page admin are trolling me and being dickheads about this whole situation. Because why not just say
it's not available until this date.
Yeah.
I've gone into researching this deeper than their Facebook. It's all currently unknown when it's going to be released here.
Jeez, it really is like underground then.
Very much so. And this is pushing me to attain it in the non-conventional way.
Yeah. You're gonna have to send me after.
Exactly that, and this is something that is a real problem within the community of people, getting things illegally. I'm pretty sure all of us here have probably obtained something in a way that we shouldn't have at some point because of something like this. Nah. Yes, very annoying. I can see why they are dickheaded. But the question is, what category?
I think I've put a solid case against the South Park Facebook page admin.
I would agree. It doesn't take much to be like, Sars, you haven't got it, we're working on a date, at the very least, rather than just radio silence. That's just rude.
Yes, I could unfollow the page, but then I'm going to potentially miss out on the links sent from the heavens, aren't I? So, going over the categories again, because we have to every time. From least severe to most severe. Flaccid dick, semi-flaccid dick, erect dick, super erect dick, super throbbing erect dick, cock ring, shooting blood, and Konami.
It's like every click is a stroke. I'm intrigued to see where it's going.
There's been so many clicks. One-on-one internet are in super erect dick, and this whole thing was way more annoying than the South Park Facebook page admin situation on a personal basis, because I'm living this. So I personally am going to put them in erect dick with, and they can join Activision in that category.
Fair.
Yeah.
So South Park Facebook page admin, I will officially induct you into the erect dick column of the Dickhead of the Week.
Repent, and thou shalt be saved.
I have one more piece of news before we go to questions, and it would be remiss to not talk about games in some kind of way. And this is a pretty big one. We've got the PS5 versus Xbox Series X. Two big heavy hitters going for the win regarding Christmas sales, I should imagine. But how do they compare? I mean, we've got a pretty good platform across the three of us, because your household is Xbox, I'm PS, and you're PC. So between the three of us, I mean, we've all played each one as well, so...
I own an original Xbox.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Old school.
Oh, cool. I remember original Halo.
I genuinely could not tell you where that Xbox is right now.
What sort of things did you used to play? Was it like Halo and all that?
Just Halo on the Xbox, and a basketball and an NBA basketball game as well. But it was mainly Halo, just because we used to be really, really close friends with someone who's now moved away from number 5 just over there.
Oh, right.
Ran into his mum a couple of weeks ago.
Oh yes, she was the perfect MILF. So Xbox were the first to release their price point, and the PS5 was a week later. So they're both coming in at 449 of your English pounds. They are both releasing a smaller version of each console as well.
Right. Yes, have you seen the size comparisons?
Mm-hmm.
The memes that have come out about the PlayStation. Jesus, wept how big it is.
Yes, apparently.
Actually, I don't even know if they're memes. I think they're actual just comparisons of like how big it is.
People taking the piss. Yeah, because the look of it is really out there, isn't it, the PS? But they've kind of reasoned that because of the way that it calls its system. It's really fast, which makes it apparently quicker.
You can tell what team you're on, go on.
Anyway, the Series S, which is Xbox, is going to be $299, and the PS digital version is £359, so it's more, and you also don't get a disc drive, which I think is a bit shit, but that's how they've made it cheaper, which is what Apple did with their mini laptop. They took out the disc drive, but to me that makes no difference, but to those who like a solid version, that's going to be a kick in the nads, because you also can't just swap games then, which is annoying.
Personally, I prefer digital just because it's better for the environment.
True, I agree.
I do love a manual. I love the way they smell.
Like an old book.
I have a distinct memory of my original Tomb Raider 2 for the PlayStation, the original PlayStation, smelling so good. It was a work of art in itself.
And
Beautiful.
the GTA manuals, they were lit, they're actual
And
magazines.
you get maps as well, fold-out maps of a room.
Posters, loved that. Yeah.
It's much better than having a physical copy of a map instead of like on your second monitor or on your phone propped up next to the PlayStation or next to the screen you're playing on, for sure. I do miss that. There's more sentimental value than just a code.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, they don't let you swap now. I don't know if it's the Xbox or potentially the PlayStation 2, but if you buy like a hard copy of a game, you can't like give it to anyone because it registers to your console. So they've already like made sure that us three would have to buy 3 games instead of just the one and pass it on.
No, I didn't know that.
I thought last gen PlayStation you could swap, but Xbox you couldn't. And
Maybe that's
PlayStation
what it
released
was.
that advert going, here's how you swap a game.
Oh,
And
so
it's
they've already
still-
done it.
yeah.
So it was just the Xbox then. I thought that was. That's
Do you know anything in terms of backwards capability?
Yes, both are backwards compatible. There is one particular difference though. Overall, the Xbox takes the edge in terms of power, speed, memory, etc., etc. Overall, the bits inside it are meant to be better, but that doesn't. They've done that in the past, and it hasn't always meant better overall for some reason. I don't know, but overall, the Xbox is meant to actually be better and a bit faster and a bit everything else. I think it's all going to come down to, loyalty.
Yeah.
One thing about the PS, they've got a new DualSense controller, and the old one doesn't work. So you have to have a new controller. It comes with one. So if you wanted to play with someone else, they would then have to have the new controller, whether they were sticking with their PS4 or not, because their controller wouldn't work.
It used to be 2 back in the day.
Yes, it did. It did used to be 2 as standard.
They got us all hook, line and sinker.
They have. Yeah.
Give us some more loot boxes and we'll be set for the new console.
PS are flexing their immersive gold standard in 3D audio, but both have a screen res up to 8K, and both are pretty much claiming that loading times are a thing of the past. So I think more or less they're going to be kind of the same. PS are taking the piss a bit with that controller bullshit. However, I didn't realise until recently that on Game Pass, which is the Xbox version of the Play Store, if I'm correct.
Yes, I think. Yeah.
On the Play Store, once you get a game for free, for example, Fall Guys, once you've downloaded it, you get to keep it. Whereas on Game Pass, you only get a certain amount of time, don't you?
Yes, yeah.
And you have to complete the game in that time, otherwise you lose everything unless you buy it.
That is the one aspect of it I found where console is superior to PC. I had to pay 15 quid for Fall Guys. I had to pay 12 for Rocket League. I'm the only person I know who's paid for Rocket League. But it was recently released as free to play on the Epic Games Store.
Yes, it was.
And it, for the first time ever, surpassed 1 million players online a couple of weeks ago, which is amazing.
Wow, dear listeners, download fucking Rocket League while it's free. Do it.
It's so
absolutely
much fun.
do it. It is a pure joy.
Yes.
If you were to say be given either one of these consoles, regardless of money, etc., whatever, which one would you choose?
Do you know, I'd probably go PlayStation because of the screen. Because the actual display I've always heard is far superior to the Xbox. Xbox has more choice. So I've got the choice with the Xbox already, so I get PlayStation.
Interesting. What would you go for?
Blind loyalty will make me buy a PlayStation.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what's going to
That's
take
it.
most of it.
Without even looking at any of the specs.
Would you go PS5 or the digital version?
I would probably go the PS5.
Just because it's free. Fuck it, you'll have the big one. Yeah.
I'd have a digital.
Purely for space, I think I'd have to go digital, but I'd want the big one.
I think it's going to be a bit of a style icon, because I think they'll look back going, oh, it's one of the few that's gone bigger rather than smaller.
Yes.
It comes to their design.
Very bold design.
Yeah.
They've had to defend it quite it got criticised for looking like a Wi-Fi router quite a lot.
Perfect already.
Yeah, the Xbox I do think looks better, but I like a more chunky box design. But the controller does look really interesting in terms of immersive gameplay.
Yeah, I want to have a look at the controller pad.
Yeah, it's got this dual sense thing that they keep going on about.
For me, the Xbox controller was too big. I genuinely did.
It is different.
I couldn't reach all the buttons on an Xbox.
I think you do hold it. It feels more sturdy though. Like
It does feel like you could throw it against a wall and it would come out better off. Than
You could
wall.
build houses with it, yeah.
The one that fucked with my mind the most was the Nintendo 64 controller.
Oh
You had to
my.
hold it in the middle and do it
Jeez.
like that,
So
and then
weird.
kind of like.
Just wipe your thumb
It's like-
over the two buttons instead of pressing them individually.
Yeah, I'll get a pen.
It's like playing a guitar. It was like,
Yeah, so we'll see. Let's go pure sales. Who's going to come out on top? I think it will be the PS just because of the loyalty thing. It was a bold price point, I think, the digital version, considering you get less.
I also despise Phil Spencer. I genuinely think he's the Antichrist, the head of Xbox. You know who I'm on about. Fucking leather jacket whilst hosting a games conference in Los Angeles. You know, fucking
Yes!
80-degree heat.
Yes, I saw this. Yeah, I know who you mean. But-
Please, image of that.
I don't understand your hatred towards Jeff Keighley though, Lorna. The
His
Game
his
Awards.
heart's in the right place, but he's just always off the mark. Always off the mark with it.
Canada's finest.
He's
Fuck
not
right.
Canada's finest. Chris Jericho is Canada's finest.
He is Canada's
You
finest.
see, you said the seed that should not have been sown.
The wank may happen yet, people.
For the first time in fucking knows how many episodes, I actually remembered to post on the Barely Breathing Facebook page that we're actually recording a podcast today, and asked if any of our loyal listener wants to wants to ask us a question. I genuinely haven't looked until right now, so I will see if we have anything.
I can feel myself engorging.
So I wrote one day ago, no less, recording a podcast on Sunday. If you've got any questions you wish to throw at us, then twat them below with a little arrow emoji. It reached 18 people and received no responses. which always comes as sharp relief, to be brutally honest. So on that note, I'm totally fine to end.
Alright.
Lorna, thank you ever so much for joining us once again. Are we going to be seeing you
In another
towards
9 months?
towards the end of the year when we do our
Yes.
answering questions for a piece of shit?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Awesome stuff. You know Mum wants to do that as well.
I think she would do well. Alright, cool. I'm gonna go YouTube some 1990s Chris Jericho to try and kickstart this wank.